Greetings, Earthlings. Sound looks okay. All right. We are going to have a look at the West Cornwall Local this morning. And I did actually start this stream about 5 minutes ago, and then I very intelligently realized it was actually private. Thus proving I'm a complete idiot. Anyway, you all knew that. Hey, Melbourne Track Guy. I have all the recording gear set up, ready to come on our little journey today. This is a link to the mod that we will be using. It adds a new timetable to West Cornwall Local. The only thing it does is add the timetable itself. There's no new scenarios or anything like that. It does have a few trains, so you do need a few DLC. We will have the GWR 150, the 802. I'm hoping it's the 802/1. Oh no, they're both in there. The problem with the 0 is it doesn't work with this. The 1 does. Go figure. Hello, Rob Powell. Good morning. Well, good evening for you. We have the Class 37.5. I'm trying to think which one that is. Just labeled RSR. Anyway, we'll figure that out. We have the 220 and a high-speed train in Great Western livery. A Gronk, of course. This is the original 47.4, I think. And, of course, there's a 66. So we're going to start with... Nah, we'll do a run in the 802. Why not? Yeah. Penzance to London or Plymouth to Penzance? It's a hard choice. The area we are talking about is kind of the bottom left-hand corner of... It is England. I was going to say UK, but no, it is actually England, this bit. All right, we will stick with our usual light clouds. Touch of fog. Actually, this route doesn't look as good as it could. A little bit more fog. There we go. A little bit of wind. Why not? Hello, rails. I did get a question on my Discord of why I've suddenly started looking at mods. It's not so much suddenly started looking at mods, it's that there's been a little gap in new releases of stuff, so I have an opportunity to look at mods. Oh, we're going to see the dawn. Nice. Okay. Remember how to set this up. Is it the rail driver version? Yes. Good. Now we'll do safety systems the easy way. Rather than going finding all their miscellaneous switches and things. Unlock some doors. Get the cab lights off. So we are at St Austell and we will be heading for the coast. Should actually look nice in this light. I think this route has probably one of the best mastery tiles. It's a toss-up between the octopus on this one and the UFO on Cathcart of the two best mastery tiles. I have to say they're the only ones I went out of my way to finish to actually see them. Sadly, back when I was a beta person, I finished all my mastery in dev, so I have no mastery anymore because, you know, I've never recreated it here. Wait until 8.11. Now, I'm told this timetable's really good. In fact, Rob put in a word for it. And various people are amazed at what they've managed to do with what is essentially a single lane track. Rob says, don't forget to wave to the left on the second viaduct at Truro on the way in and toot the horn. Ah, a Truro person. I'll actually be down that way because Christine's found some stuff that she wants to do in Cardiff, so we may even ride this line. So I'm still plotting out exactly what we're going to do on our UK trip. Nearly time, there we go. I should shut the doors before it's time, but there you go. Didn't. Can I open windows in this? No, I cannot. Just to make sure everyone's awake. And this is just a PPC, isn't it? Yep. We don't need to worry about the other levers. Away we go. Maybe.
Welcome
Why don't we go backwards? Not enough power. It's on a slope. There we go. I had a great day on my steam railway yesterday. I actually spent most of the day driving. I hardly did any firing at all. It was awesome. It was quite interesting because the guy I was out with, we get announcements. Amazing. The driver that I was out with, he's been on the railway for 60-something years, and I've been on the railway for 40-something years, and we actually figured out we had never done a shift together. In the time that it didn't matter which role I had in the railway. I even went back through my old guard books from when I was a guard, and we never actually worked. So we decided to go out as fireman and driver. I was the fireman, he was the driver. And he let me have a drive on one of the short runs, and he felt that I was teachable. So he let me drive most of the day, which was really cool. I'm well, Wesley. How are you? The town of St. Austell. Let me know what sound is like for you guys. So what I'll be curious to see is how much traffic do we actually get to see? And a little pause there. Something Unreal loves to do occasionally. It just goes, all right, off we go. I was about to ask if this was the Truro Viaduct, but of course it's 12 miles away, so no, it's not. Why is there a cat yelling at me? Oh, it's you. You're going to the vet, aren't you? Sorry, cat. I just need to talk to my other half for a moment while this continues. I think I'm pretty safe. Buzz looked like a raccoon this morning. Her whole face was covered in black stuff, so I cleaned it. But it looks like she's got a bit of an eye issue. The usual eye. It's just worse. Sorry about that. Oh no, I'm speeding. Wow, that was a rough turn for 60 mile an hour. Hopefully everybody is well. You know, it's really weird, having spent, you know, most of the day on, there we go, on the right-hand side of the cab, on the driver's controls. My hands are clean. It's just so weird having a day on the railway and your hands are clean. Well, not completely clean, but, you know, I did fly some of the day. I could get used to this, being on the side with the levers. But I would have to take a leaf out of the book of all of the people who let me drive as a fireman. So if I ever do actually get into a driver's course and become a driver on the railway, there are some things going on there that we won't talk about. But if that does happen, I will make sure I'm mindful of the bloke next to me and give them the opportunities that have been given to me, which means you never actually escape firing. Rails watched a new cow unit productions video, new tier 4 Gevos experience Echo's values. So that's a little esoteric. You know, new equipment does tend to have issues when it first comes out. They're very complex things, trains. They went through an era, so steam engines are incredibly complex. There's so many things influencing other things that influence other things that influence other things that make you move. And you need to know a lot to operate them. And then there came a period where The initial electric and initial diesel locomotives were really, really simple. And then as the need for less air pollution, the need for better control, the better need for slip management, the need for higher speeds built up and up and up and up, and they've become incredibly complex things. So something that you might consider to be really simple, they're actually not. They're really, really complex. Something like this thing's akin to a space shuttle. Probably not quite as complex, because it wouldn't have backups on backups on backups. It would have probably one backup system, if anything. C asks, is that something you're hoping to do, to become a driver? Absolutely. Interestingly enough, it's how I started on my firing journey, because I've actually been sitting in the left-hand seat. So in our locos, we have the driver on the right, fireman on the left. It's just how it is. That's on our railway. Not all locomotives are like that. A lot of locomotives, the driver's on the left and the fireman's on the right. But ours, it's left and right. So I spent a lot of time in the diesel firing seat, which isn't a lot of work. You press a button every now and again. This one, in fact, when you've checked that your driver's alive, because it's important that your driver's alive. Do we fit through that? Oh yeah, that looked pretty close. So, and then I expressed a desire to become a diesel driver, and was informed the only way to do that was go through steam, because they didn't actually have a pass from diesel fireman to diesel driver. Turned out that wasn't quite true, but that's what I was told, because they wanted more steam firemen. So I became a steam fireman. I've been a steam fireman now for, I don't know, 4 years, maybe going, it's probably starting to approach 5 years actually. I think in September this year it'll be 5 years. And I have the requisite number of shifts and hours to apply to be driver. But unfortunately some things have happened on our railway that mean that volunteers aren't able to gain training at this time. I'm hoping that changes. So we shall see what happens. Do you know, this one is as difficult to manage as Riviera with all the gradient changes. It's actually, it's a little bit of a drive. You actually have to pay attention. It's not like home pass where you just whack it in notch 8 and go. You can go off and make yourself a coffee, come back later, train's still going. Just working through the chat. Lee Grant says, hi to the train drivers. Well, that's what I was doing yesterday, driving a real one. Today I'm driving a pretend one. Tomorrow I'll be driving a Lego one at Brickvention. So if you're in Melbourne or near Melbourne, I will be at Brickvention all day tomorrow, from about 9 AM when the doors open, until I think we close at 4 PM tomorrow. And then we have to pack up our gigantic club layout, which is, it's probably about 8, maybe 9 meters long. And it's probably longer. It's probably 10 meters long and about 3 meters wide. It's quite a big beast. And I've got a module in that. There's pictures on my Discord both of the module and the half-finished layout, because I was there helping build it on Thursday and we got it all together, but the scenery was still going on and the backboards were still going on, and I had to leave because I had to get up at 4:45 in the morning the next day for my shift on the railway. So I could not stay as late as the others. Joseph Bland, hello to you. Welcome. Rob Powell says one derailed at Goodrington today. Uh-oh. I'll try not to do that. Looks like the track went out of gauge, either because of it being the cause of the accident. It'll be, yes, the RAIB, or the equivalent in Australia, which is the ATSB. And we also have another body called ONSSR, ONSSR. The reports that come out of those bodies, as someone who's involved with trains, even if you're involved in simulation, it's good to read those reports and understand what goes wrong in the real world. So as someone who operates on real trains, I read those reports, and as do most people who operate real trains, to try and learn from them. What went wrong? And you try and be mindful of not wanting that thing to go wrong when you're operating. The guy that was giving me a drive yesterday was actually really happy with me because we came into a work zone and I'd slowed down for the work zone appropriately. And I could see maybe half a kilometre ahead a tractor that was, we learnt it was quite far from the track when we got to it, but from where we were, because of a trick of a curve, it looked like it was on the track, so I stopped. And he goes, right thing to do. Right thing to do until you're sure. Because he actually thought the same thing. Cardarelli Show, hello to you. Lee Grant loves trains, awesome. Rail says, which is very sad. Sad that they're complex. Joseph says the world's turning back on our axis. Haven't heard that that started. There is actually, we are in the vicinity, sometime in the next plus or minus 10,000 years, a pole flip. So at the moment, north is up, south is down, magnetically. It's going to flip. This happens to the Earth periodically. And no one knows accurately when it's going to happen, but it is thought to be within plus or minus 10,000 years of this year. So, you know, it's really only plus 10,000 years because it couldn't have happened before, we would have known. And that'll be an interesting thing when that happens, because a lot of electronics probably won't work anymore. Coming into Truro, home of Rob. Wake up, Truro. Right away, hello there. C says don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you very much for pointing that out, C. It is useful. It actually does help the stream get promoted, which is a good thing. Joseph says common sense will prevail. So actually, my last stream, because I dual stream now to shorts and to the horizontal format, I got into the shorts featured list, but I think the average view from a shorts viewer was about 12 seconds, because, you know, flip, flip, flip. Because unless you've got your exposed, or you're a very angry person talking about politics, you tend not to keep their attention very long. And I couldn't be bothered talking about politics. Just could not be bothered. I'd just say the world's horrible and leave it at that. And he says, good evening. Good morning to you. I am doing well, thank you. I have my usual worked on a train deeper voice today. I don't know why that happens. It's something to do with coal. It's interesting. Rail says, sad that training is temporarily stopped. Well, we hope it's temporary. Here's the big viaduct that I'm supposed to make lots of noise on. No, I did it early because we have to do gratuitous bridge shot. You know, that one is actually worth one of these because it's actually quite nice. It works really nicely with the fog. Let's try and get that in the right spot too. No, it does want to be up there. All right. That'll be fine then. I think I'm quite happy with the colour and the exposure on that one, so we'll just do it. It's actually quite cool. It's quite nice timing. Ooh, there's another one. That would have been an even cooler shot if I had been a few seconds earlier. As we come rolling in towards Truro.
We are now approaching Truro.
And it's a good thing this is a GWR train because you get to hear the announcement that you're getting to your destination. As distinct from the cross-country trains. Did I say that? No. I certainly will not be using that provider on my upcoming trip. Other early show says greetings from Dublin, Ireland. Well, how are you? My neighbours are Irish. Hopefully some Irish roots down the line. Been enjoying the channel for a while. Thanks for the informative content. You are welcome. You probably need to do the same thing as Australia does for Irish roots, is get some third parties involved. It did actually occur to me when I was thinking about what I was going to say about mods on this stream, because often I sit here and go, mods aren't available on console, which is true, they're not. But there actually is a path to getting mods available on console. If the people who make the mods are willing to work with DTG as a publisher and become a third-party developer, there's potential there. So there actually is a path to make it happen. But of course, there's a lot of money and time and effort involved in it because it's a different kettle of fish when you want to publish it officially.
This is Truro.
Welcome to Truro. Train's behind you. Just thought I'd let you know, because you're going to miss it. Because don't know how much you're going to get in this platform, but we'll see. And the doors will close 20 seconds prior to departure. Maybe. Rob Powell says, almost at my home. Awesome. Thumbs up from Joseph. Cool. What's the temperature in Australia? Right now it is about 18 degrees. I think we are expecting it to warm up a little bit today. We're going to have 23 today. So we had a band of very hot weather where it was over the 40s. A lot of places in the mid 40s, some in the high 40s. Quite unpleasant. But that has subsided for now. So it basically happens when we get a high pressure system in the ocean, the cool air from the ocean gets pushed inland and we stay cool, which is what's happening at the moment.
Railway service to Penzance. We'll be calling at Redruth, Cambourne, Hale, St. Erth and Penzance.
Excellent. When we have a low, when she shuts up, when we have a low pressure system in the Southern Ocean, we get the really hot inland Australia temperatures that are permanently in the 40s and 50s, pushed down into the areas that we live in. Yeah, we have the signal at green on the repeater there. That thing's called a banner repeater. Hello, British Rail fan. Joseph says, I wish they do a Newcastle to Edinburgh during the Intercity period. Had the Class 89 to show up a couple of times en route. Well, we'll be heading to Edinburgh. We're actually going to stay outside of Edinburgh because we've discovered at the time we're there, and this was a complete disastrous accident, the Edinburgh Festival's on, which means instead of being about £80 for room in Edinburgh for a night. It's about £380 for a room in Edinburgh for a night, and that's just mental. So we'll be staying outside Edinburgh. I've started looking for places, and the pricing, the further you get from Edinburgh, it just drops off. So we're actually thinking about potentially even staying as far away as Aberdeen, because it looks really nice. So if anybody's listening from Scotland and you have recommendations for places to stay and things to do, please let me know either in the Discord or in DM me from Discord, or you can even let me know in the chat here if you want to. We will also be going to Wales, and she wants to go to Cardiff, so there's potential to visit this line, there's potential to visit the Riviera line. Lots of opportunities down around there. Haven't actually been to that part of the country before, so I'm looking forward to that as well. I do want to get her up further north in Wales. We're going to do the Welsh Highland Railway. I won't do the Festiniog because that'll bore her shitless, but the Welsh Highland one, I think she'll enjoy it because it's the kind of countryside that she likes. And because she wants to go and look at castles, there's Carnarvon Castle at the end of the line, so I think she'll quite like it. I think she'll also like the town of Porthmadog because it's just cool. Just a simple, cool little town. C says, can't wait for the 8:05 preview stream. There will be one coming up, so it's not happening just yet because it's the schedule was just a little bit in advance of the work. So there will be one coming up soon. February is traditionally a time of the, I like to call it the mid-season announcements from Dovetail. So, because we usually get a big announcement sometime around August, September, and another one around February. And I'm not saying there is one coming, I'm just saying traditionally February and August, September are the kinds of the times that we hear stuff. So I'm looking forward to February as always. We shall see. See what gets announced. There should be a roadmap coming up pretty soon. I think, what are we today? It's 17th, so probably 3 weeks maybe? Somewhere between 2.5 to 3 weeks there'll be a roadmap, I would imagine. Just based on past years. And you might think as an ambassador they tell us all this stuff in advance. Not necessarily. Sometimes we know things, sometimes we don't. C says Wales is beautiful. It is indeed. It's magnificent countryside. If you're in the UK and you've never been to Wales, I strongly encourage it. Joseph says, oh, yes, to be expensive. I'm in Inverness. Nice. Give me my spare, but I got a guide to the Highlands. Oh, nice. We might go to the Isle of Skye as well. We'll probably do that as a day trip. I think in Scotland, and my past trips to the UK, I've never bothered hiring a car. But I think in Scotland it might be more necessary, because there's a lot of Scotland that you can't get to by rail. C says, let's not start the TSW7 chat. I think, see, we're kind of used to the fact it just comes out every year now. It probably will. That's all I'd say. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And people know my views that I think at some point there will be a changing of the guard. And my expectation is that at some point there will be a transitioning to Unreal 5. don't think that will be now. I think it's a fair way away, but I just think that's on the horizon. Lee Grant says Devon is beautiful. I'm trying to think if I've been to Devon. It seems to be relatively stable. Let me look on a map. Not yet. Just looking at the Devon area. So, yes. Because there's potential to do Riviera and this line, heading for Cardiff, because, you know, it's a way to get to Cardiff. And I particularly want to do the Riviera line. I've liked it since Train Sim Classic. I should speed up again. Look at that, I went off to look at a map for 3 seconds and I come back and the train's lost 20 mile an hour. There won't be as many railways on this trip because she's not a fan of trains. And because it's a joint trip, there'll be piles of rocks in the vague formation of castles and trains. And she wants to do things like visit some of the big markets around London and things. Because she is a shopping kind of girl. And I have no doubt whatsoever we'll be going in search of things like Doc Martens, which I think she'll be vastly disappointed because they're actually cheaper in Australia than they are in England, which is kind of sad given where they're made. C says agreed, but people moan about it. I don't think it's fairly reasonable upgrade plus the routes and added look. She gets a cheap upgrade. Yeah, look, I would imagine there'll be a free version come out again. I'm going to be out there and say I'm not a fan of having to download everything again. On the PC, on Steam, that goes pretty smoothly. It's just an issue of having enough bandwidth to be able to do it. And as the game grows, not everybody's got that bandwidth. But on Epic, it's a woeful experience because of whatever the restrictions are. I mean, it seems to get resolved. I think everything's come over now for Epic players. I don't think there's anything been left behind. But for a time there, they couldn't actually access all of their DLC in the new version, which meant that they had to keep both versions installed. I've actually got 3, 4, 5, and 6 installed because I often do comparisons. Either I'll get a feeling that something was different in a previous version, or someone tells me that something was different, and maybe it was better, maybe it wasn't. And I'll go and run the older version to have a look. I mean, Rail Driver was a classic example of that. There was a guy that was absolutely adamant that Rail Driver was perfect in previous versions of TSW, and I thought, it's always had the same issues. Actually, speaking of Rail Driver, I did get an answer back from TSC about what they're going to do about future software support for the Train Sim X. I have asked them if I can use everything they've told me because they've been very open.
We are now approaching Red Roof.
So I've asked them if I can use that in a video. I think from memory, I think from memory you can actually walk up there. It's one of the routes where there's walking stuff. This train's going to stick out beyond the platform, isn't it? I guess that makes sense. The locomotive doesn't need to be in the platform. There we go.
This is Red Route.
Stuck. Oh. That's a collectible. Ice cream. No, that's not a very long stop, is it? It's only a surprise live stream, Lord Victron, because I had it set to private. And I had to stop it and start it again. I didn't mean to set it to private. But I have recently changed the default of my videos to private. So I have to knowingly make them public. Andy says, I think it's inevitable they'll move to UE5 in the next 2 to 3 years. Yeah, that's the kind of time frame I'm thinking as well. I know Rob will be sitting there holding his tongue. Ordoc Fire says, Scotland should be fun for you. We've hired a car too, but it's used to driving the other side of the road. Well, we drive on the left here, so it's fine. So it's the same in the UK. So not an issue. I think the only thing that's significantly different between UK roads and Australian roads, it's the junctions for really big motorways or freeways. You always know it's a rivet route when you find the beaver trees. I was surprised there weren't any on Riviera, actually, given that Rivet did actually make that. I think they, since this one came out, this route could really do with a remaster. This end of it's probably not too bad scenically. It's not the best in accuracy when you go and sit down and compare it with cab view videos and other reference that you can get your hands on. But the path down to St. Ives is poor. Very poor. So this route would be cool with a remaster, and maybe even double tracking it all the way, because I think it is double track all the way these days. Vectron asks, is it an 8:02 timetable for the West Coast line? Oh, West Cornwall Local, sorry. I keep saying West Coast line. It's not that. West Cornwall Local. Just proving I'm a donkey. It's a new timetable which has quite a lot of new services in it. It's probably a little bit limited because of the single line section. But a lot of people were poking at me and going, this is a really good mod, you should have a look. So I'm having a look at it at the same time you are, because I haven't tried it. We're just going for it. So picked an 802 up front, 802/1. And we're running the route, and then we'll go and have a look at some of the others. So I'm guessing the 150 goes down to St. Ives, so we'll probably run one of those. Vectron says, sounds like you got some saucy videos coming up. No, not really. I just default things to private because I've got more members only and members first stuff coming up. But I have to remember that that applies to the live streams as well. I have to remember to make them public. And yes, I know the Brits don't really honk their horns at crossings very much. It's just, you know, it's fun. Actually, it was one of the interesting things about the driver that was teaching me yesterday, because I was giving... I've gotten used to giving lesser whistles. That's a big, serious rock. But I've gotten used to giving lesser whistles, and he's going, "Oh, people want to hear the steam engine for kilometres and kilometres. Do it properly." It's like, all right. So there were massive whistles yesterday. It was actually fascinating watching him firing, because, you know, he's nearly 70. He might be more than 70, actually. And there is not an iota of wasted effort in the guy. And he fires one-handed, which I can't do. And you'll see him, he just effortlessly slips it into the coal pile, barely lifts it off the deck until he's at the door, and he gets it just to the height that he needs to get it where he wants it to go in the box. And a little fling, and off it goes into the right spot in the box, exactly where he wanted it. He's there's no guessing about that guy about where the fire needs to be. He knows. It's just so little effort from him in probably putting in about the same amount of coal that I always do, but less effort because he works it more simply. So I shall see what I can do to replicate that on future firing runs. Because it is quite true that you never actually stop learning in the rail game. You'll always meet someone that's better at it than you, or that has a different way of doing something that is simpler or easier. Vectron says, ask him for his secrets. I actually want to get him on the podcast, because he knows a lot about the history of our railway. He's also worked in trams in Melbourne. He's worked as a fireman in South Africa. So he's a very knowledgeable guy, and I think he'd be a very interesting subject. Hello, Steve Hornsby. Rails Old Vectron says, tell us what you know, Hypnotoad. As we head for Hale. It does work so nicely in the early morning and evenings. Oops, no, I'm going too fast because I'm naughty. I shall rectify that. And he says, I imagine the roads in Australia are smooth, unlike here in the UK, it feels like you're driving off-road with all the potholes. As Vectron said, it really depends where you are. Yes, if you're on a main freeway that's going between cities, they're pretty good. But if you get off those roads are often maintained by the local council, and it really depends how much money they've got. if they're not a rich area, the roads will be pretty bad. A lot of our alternative routes are still a single lane of asphalt, and you drive down the dirt when someone's coming the other way. Because Australia really is only populated around the coast. There are plenty of people that live inland, but they're less accessible, shall we say. Vectron wants some more routes for the 802. You want a remaster and an extension? Oh, you never know what the future might bring. Go write up a proposal for it. It's kind of where these things come from. Community proposals that get lots of attention, because that's a good indicator it might sell. Andy says, yeah, I can imagine the bush roads are fun over here lately, and the major roads are ridiculous to potholes. You transition from city to bush. The transition's not as abrupt as you have in the UK, whereas within mere moments of being outside the city, you've transitioned into this sort of landscape. Australia is, our cities are very sprawling, so to travel across all the way across Melbourne, for example, will take you a good 2 hours. Even at 100 kilometres an hour, it's still 2 hours. Once you get out of that, the transition is abrupt. And there are big roads, so we, like UK, we have, I'll call them motorways, but we call them freeways. So we have the M roads, and we have A roads, B roads, C roads, and D roads. A roads are sometimes bigger than 2 lanes, sometimes 4 lanes, sometimes 5, sometimes 6. And then we have B roads, which can be either 2 lanes or 4 lanes. So 1 in each direction for 2 lanes. Then there's C roads, which are nearly always only 2 lanes. And then there's D roads, which are generally dirt tracks. And beyond D roads, there's even another class, which is just track. It's not actually a road, it's just a track. And for that, you need a capable vehicle. Because they're... if you really know what you're doing on a lot of them, you could actually get your average family 4-wheel drive through them. I have. But I only do it when I'm out with a bunch of experienced people that know the track. But if you're not out with experienced people, you're going to want a very capable vehicle. Something with a lot of ground clearance. But they're the fun ones. Cot says, hello to you. Real Lord Vectrons was going down a road a few months ago, 100k, hit a pothole, was semi-hidden, large enough to force turned on the blinkers and wipers. That may have done damage to your suspension. You should probably get a wheel alignment done. Rail says, Illinois roads are dog shit. That's a strange thing to make roads out of. It would be quite squishy and slippery. Rail says, especially in Chicago, because no one's bothered patching them since the 70s. Chicago used to be a city that was kind of at the center of everything, but its focus has changed. A little bit like Detroit, I suppose. Detroit was the center of the car industry, and it's kind of lost its way since a lot of the car industry buggered off and changed the way they do things. Standing too close to the edge. Partial Nebworth. We're safe. It's okay. It's all good. We got there. Almost.
This is Hale.
Oh, there's the sun. There you go. We'll get a shot with the sun in it. Make it nice while we wait. Not a fan of 70s railroading there, Rails. 70s was an interesting time for most of the world because it was one of the periods where cash was a little lacking in most economies. Vectron says, problem with those proposals, I like a PhD study leveled my rationales. I want more neural routes for trains. I like, well, yes. The ones that get attention are the ones that go into a lot of detail. And if you're on the forums, 2-3 posts covering all the information, you talk about why the route's important, what area is the most important area to look at and why, what trains are the most important ones to look at and why. And probably the most important thing is making sure it'll actually sell. There we go. We're going to chuck a few screenshots up on Steam just so people get the idea that you can do this. Because that is, of course, the biggest thing. That's what DTG need. DTG need to know it'll sell. And the same with the third parties. Third parties, a lot of them will do a labor of love thing, and they'll go through the challenges of building, knowing that they may never make any money, but they're doing it because they like to. It's very... Oh yeah, I get it. Shouldn't that signal that's coming up be yellow? Because we got a warning on the other one. Interesting. Which makes me think that one should have been double yellow and this one should be yellow.
We are now approaching Cent Earth.
It is an issue with putting mods in, is that you may expose some wonkiness that was worked around from the original timetable. Hello. Cool. Yeah, see you soon. Snow. I thought that thing we were looking at before was a rock, but no, it's snow. Oh, I've collected none of the collectibles at this station. You know what we're going to have to do? We have got a red at the end of the platform. It's actually the thing that makes me the most nervous in real train driving, to be honest, is coming into a platform with a red at the end of it. Some of ours it's fine because they're flat, but others are on a significant downhill slope towards the red signal. So you've got to be very, very careful. This is awfully close. I think that's close enough. And I think what we have to do here, because I've collected none of the collectibles, is we need to. Is there a poster there? Yep. Penzance. I need to clean my trackball. That's probably a collectible. Yep. And this one? No, that one's not a collectible. Oh, but you can climb on it. Huh. Okay. Poster? Penzance. Be a route map. And I think that's all of them on this platform. There was some on the other platform. There should be some ice cream here somewhere. Got another 20 seconds to find them. Signal has gone green. I was naughty and didn't put the DRA on either, but I also naughty and nicked off from my train. No bags. Ice cream. Probably a route map or a poster or something up here. Maybe. Maybe not. Oh, another trolley. There might be something on the other platform, but I think we better go back. Oh, there's a route map down there. We'll grab that on the way. Oh, so close, yet so far. Everybody likes ice cream. Well, actually, I shouldn't say everybody likes ice cream, because it's probably not true. Most people like ice cream. Our signal is green, and it's time to go. And they're all going, where's our driver? What's he doing? Why's he out here eating an ice cream and putting up posters? It's time to go. Off we go for the final stop for this run, Penzance. Stop rolling backwards, you. Go forwards. Go on. That way. You know you want to.
Welcome aboard this Great Western Railway service to Penzance. We'll be calling at Penzance only.
Andy says to Vectron, lucky it didn't destroy his wheel or tyre. I've actually popped a caravan tyre off its rim, running over a pothole. And I discovered that day my spare was absolute rubbish. It held air, but only just. We greatly annoyed everybody by driving along at about 50 kilometres an hour on a 100 kilometre road. With a massive tailback. Sour Mustard says, tell the word about hook turns in Melbourne. Ah, yes. Because Melbourne is a tram-favoured city, so traffic is actively discouraged from the CBD. It's not forbidden. It doesn't cost you anything if you go in there. But they make it challenging with both very short traffic light sequences and also these wonderful things called hook turns so that you don't delay trams at intersections. So normally you would turn right from the right-hand lane on the left-hand side of the road, but with a hook turn, you actually have to go from the left-hand lane into what is a pseudo lane at the side of the intersection in the same place where the traffic coming from your left is sitting, and you have to wait there until the light goes red, and then you can turn right. And I've never seen them anywhere else in the world. I actually think they're unique to Melbourne. But they work quite well because it stops the trams getting delayed through the CBD. And I think there's a couple outside the CBD now as well. Rails says Detroit is still kind of the car capital. Yeah, they're making electric cars there now. There's another 802. It's like, hello. Rails says same with Chicago being the railroad capital and gateway cities to the west. I think it still is that, but because there's not the hundreds of different passenger trains that there used to be, no one really thinks of it that way. So it's still that for freight, but freight's largely invisible unless you're sitting at a rail crossing waiting for the freight to get out of your way. Or you see it on the news because people are breaking into the trains and stealing everything. Real Lord Vectron says TSW just fails the scenario. Is it as harsh in real life if you go past signals because it took too long to stop? If you spad, you will be relieved. At least on our railway, and I know Metro does the same thing. You won't continue your day. You'll be taken off and there'll be an investigation. You will fairly likely, depending on the circumstances. So if you were trying to stop and there were leaves on the track and stuff like that that you couldn't see when you were trying to stop, you would likely not get suspended pending investigation. But if it was a clear dry day and you went through a red signal, you will be suspended until the investigation's done, and the investigation will decide whether you have a career or not. And they look at all sorts of factors. Vectron says probably yes, trip some circuit, mock everything up. On the metro trains, yes. They have a trip cock. And there's a thing like a pedal that sticks out of the ground. And if you run over that, it will apply a full penalty brake. So you'll have to manually get out and reset the trip cock. And then you'll have to, there's a gronk. Then you'll have to get back in and reset your brakes before you can move and get onto the signalman. In Metro, they will normally get you to go into the next place where they can get a relieving driver. Because they don't want to hold up the whole network because they're getting rid of somebody. On our trains, because they're 100 years old, and largely operated on lines without signals, there's actually no mechanical protection. It's up to the driver to not do it. And that's why the driver and fireman call every signal to each other. There's a bit of Intercity stock sitting there waiting. Not my signal, this little one down here. Coming up to the very exciting 15 section. Deborah Reef says, cool. Andy Ladd says that just sounds weird as hell. Vectron says we get Vic drivers doing that up here sometimes. It's usually Queensland drivers getting everybody's way.
We are now approaching Penzance.
We have a yellow. It's interesting operating on our railway because we have what are called intermediate staff stations. So we run staff and ticket, but you can break the section up and have an intermediate. So as you roll through each one of these intermediate stations, you check what authority you've got, you check what the signals are saying, and you check any other advisories you might have. So we actually need the guard's permission to proceed, for example, because they know things that we don't, because they get radio calls about stuff that we don't, because our radios are targeted. There's some stuff sitting in the platform here. So we come sliding in. Maybe we should go and see when that one departs. Hopefully it's not now. I don't think it had a driver, so there's a chance it's not now. Vectron says, don't get me started on Queenslanders and caravans. Yep. Andy says, one thing I struggled with when I drove in the US was right turn on red. The amount of times I forgot you could do it and sat at lights until someone honked at me was ridiculous. Yeah, well, you can left turn on red here. In New South, it actually literally is a left turn on red, same as it is in the US, right turn on right. And in most of the states, it's you've got slip lanes.
This is a Great Western Railway service to Penzance.
Dare I start slowing it down? No. Tail. Can I have just tails? Tails. There we go. Dunk. Ah. Still got a medal. So it's cool to have announcements come in with this timetable. I'm going to return to free roam because I'm not going to bother setting this up. Actually, let's put it in neutral. Because somehow I can worry about this. Off, do fine. That will not make noise. I'm sure the AI is perfectly capable of setting the train up. Because, hey, cross-country dude, turn your headlights off. Oop. No, they're not blue. It's blue ones, isn't it? I want to go and see what this agricultural machine's doing. Because I'm curious. I just realised that thing I thought was a bit of grot on my monitor is actually a bird. To Long Rock. Eh. Why not? As good a thing as any. Wait. You must wait. Get some extra light going. Ooh. Oh, that's funny. The Bardic lamp's brighter than the headlight. Little battery-powered lamp. It's kind of funny. What do you think? I think there. Steam people can wonder what this is. Wait for 2 minutes. Dun 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 dun. Long Rock Motive Power Depot siding number 8. So this should be a non-stop express. Excellent. And he says, I didn't know you had the same in Australia. It does make sense. And I sometimes wish they do it over here. It is useful. It speeds up traffic quite a bit. Are the doors open on this thing or not? No, the doors are not open. And we have people in a service that we're taking to a depot. Maybe it's a rail tour. Let's pretend it's a rail tour. This size of consist should give this beast something to do. A lot of the trains that get allocated to this in in the general timetables aren't heavy enough for it to want to actually do anything. This is quite a good consist. I've just got to keep an eye on that red signal. Oh, there's another one on the back. This is a little shorty service. Just going to take this one here and park it, and that'll be it, I think. Looks like it. Yep. Seems entirely fair. You only have to do a brake test rails if your consist has been disturbed. If your consist has not been disturbed, you don't need to. On our railway, because we are overly cautious, our guards will do a continuity test prior to the train departing a terminus station. And we will do, as in the driver and the crew in the front, will do a running brake test just to make sure the brakes do actually apply before descending any significant gradients. And we live in the fortunate place that the compressor finishes pumping up the train usually from the amount, you usually get about 25-30 seconds to pump up the whole train, because our trains aren't that big and the compressors are very big. So we get the opportunity to do lots of light brake applications without doing serial braking. Rebro asks, which one is this? This is the new 2019 timetable mod for West Coast Local. And even though I know I'm very quickly approaching a red, let me just grab the link for you. That's the link to the mod. I think we might grab a 150 after we finish parking this one. I do like the 150. I don't know why, I just do. And I particularly like the GWR version of it that came out in Riviera. I think that's as good as the 153 that came out with Cardiff. It would be absolutely awesome if they got migrated into the other 150s. I'll answer your question after I stop for this red, Rails. Does this have a telling bone for contacting the signaller? I don't think it does. We'll do it the old-fashioned way. Proceed at restricted speed. Why, thank you. Let's just check our points, though. Looks alright. That one looks fine. And the strange crossover looks fine. And we're going all the way up in there. Very nice. Once it finishes charging up the brakes, it will move. Rails asks, how does a train's braking system become disturbed? A lot of commuter railroads in the US perform running brake tests regardless of what train it is. Well, it depends on the policy of the railway. Some will want you to do it, some won't. As a precautionary thing, it's a good thing to do. But what I mean by disturbed is, so in our trains, we run to either a terminus or a midpoint. We cut the locomotive off and run it around the train and put it on the other end. That's disturbed the train. Or if we add or remove a carriage, which we do at some of our stations, because one of our workshops is in the middle of the line, for example, and we'll either pick up extra carriages there or we drop carriages off there, that disturbs the consist, so you do a brake check. And on our railway, we have two kinds of brake check. We have a full continuity check that runs the entire length of the train, where the driver will release the brakes in the consist after pumping up the train and bring it all together. And then they walk back along the train, they check that everything is properly hooked up, and I'm supposed to do 5, but oh well. And once they get to the other end, they will signal the fireman to put the brakes on. And you do a very heavy application at that point, 10 to 15 pound application. And the driver walks back along the train to make sure all of the brakes are applied. And depending on the driver, they will either ask you to release the brakes when they wave, or they will do that themselves when they get back in the cab. Some of them are happy for the fireman to do it, some of them aren't. That's fine, it's their call. The other kind is what we call a modified, which is, it's the same procedure, but they only check the 2 carriages next to the locomotive, because the rest of the consist hasn't been disturbed in any way. Its continuity has been maintained from one end to the other. So when we run around, we'll do a modified. If we add a carriage, we'll do a modified. Unless that carriage is at the other end of the train, in which case we'll do a full brake exam. There's also rules about how many carriages can have inoperable brakes and where they can be in a consist for the train to be allowed to proceed. And they change depending on whether it's a passenger train or some other kind of train. Hello, Southerner. How are you doing? I haven't listened to the Dogcast episode yet because I haven't had time, but is that you on the Dogcast episode? If people don't know what I'm talking about, let me find it for you. That is the Railway Dog channel, and they of course have the Railway Dog podcast. Which I've been on, and I've stopped. How mysterious. That's what happens when you don't apply any power. Ah, so it's a different Southerner that's on the Dogcast. Okay. I just saw it was the Southerner, and I thought, oh, maybe it's you. Melbourne Train Guy will be on the Right Way, Wrong Way Railway podcast coming up relatively soon, and I have the I have all the gear ready to go. I'm going to take that today to get us up and running. Because in the Right Way, Wrong Way Railway podcast, I do a mixture of content creators and I'll call them real railway people, to try and spread the joy a little bit. I'll actually be interviewing Paul, the CEO of N3V Games, the maker of trains, in the not too distant future. And that will come out, that will be the March episode, I think, from memory. Rails of Illinois wants to join the podcast. Oh, we could potentially work something out. Sudna asks, what do you use to record? Ah. I used to just, we'll start with the video side of it because it's a video podcast. It's available on YouTube and Spotify. I do use GoPro and the giant GoPro battery for the video side of it, just because they're really convenient. That running. And for the actual recording side of it, I have made a new acquisition, and I have to say that it will be used for the first time today. Doesn't want to come out of its box. The Rodecaster is I'll be using the same wireless mics that I've been using for eternity, because they're really good, but I wanted to be able to record to separate channels, so I got a proper voice recorder. And I did have floating around here somewhere, and I also record audio on the GoPro as a backup, in case if one of the mics fails or something, at least the GoPro will have probably pick it up as well. Come on. You can do it. I was just trying to think see where my other recorder is. Oh, there it is. Alright. Well, it just finished. The other thing I've got, but I usually use this for recording trains. This is my little Tascam, which is a stereo. It's essentially a voice recorder, but it's well known in the rail community because it's got really, really high bandwidth recordings. And they're true quality, as in they're waves, not MP3s. All right, I think we might go and find a 150 service. What do you reckon? And then after we've done the 150 service, you guys can pick something else that we should do. Why not? The little Tascam's, so the Rode I've got running off a giant battery, but the little Tascam's cool because it just works off AA batteries. And I have to say, I think those batteries have been in this for a year and I haven't replaced them. I just check them every now and again to make sure they haven't started leaking. Vectron says, lossless audio is life. Yeah, the Rodecaster records waves as well. I think it's important to at least record Penzance to Truro shunting, Penzance to St. Ives. Yes, I think we should go down to St. Ives. But what we'll go the whole hog. Penzance to St. Ives, why not? And it's conductor mode as well. Well, Guard mode. That's cool. Let's take this, yeah, March will do. It's 6:57. Actually, let's go to April so it's daylight. I think it'd be good playing mid-clouds is fine. And get started. We should drive it. Maybe we'll run it back as guard. What do you reckon? Should we run it back as guard? You can let me know. There we go. Let's key. That should give me enough to get doors open. Forwards would be better. Maybe that'll give me enough to get doors open. Yes. Safety systems the easy way. Headlights. Day headlights. And meant to hit I, then I hit I and 9 at the same time. That should be everything I need. Let's just make sure this thing's going to work. It is. Good. And you should do nothing, and you don't. Good. Okay. Oh, that's not long to wait. Oh, how cool's that? Looks like we've got not much else in the station at the moment, so we'll be taking our little service to St. Ives. And if you don't know where that comes from, Monty Python. Off we go with our little 150. I love that light effect. I hate to think what that would do on a Xbox One. It'd be like 3 frames per second. Rails has been... No, we're staying on this one, Rails. So what do you want to do off this one? Just quickly checking signals and stuff. Hornby Man says, have seen the Class 37 police by Hornby. Well, Hornby didn't invent that thing. There's actually an ad that has the 37 police pulling over a high-speed train. Let's see if I can find it. It's very funny. We won't watch it because I'll get in trouble. There it is. I don't think this is the original publisher of this, but let me... There you go. That's where that one comes from. Real Lord Vectron says you can also encode down, never up. This is true. And you can, to some extent, re-encode into a higher quality format, but the sound won't get any better, just the file format changes. So yes, you're absolutely correct. Be really cool if the water from the Riviera was brought to this. I mean, Rivet did do a cool thing here. They actually made the waves. So these were the first waves in Train Sim World. But they certainly upped that game on Riviera. Flying Southern says maybe when you're over in the UK, Northern Ireland, we could potentially do an episode if you're up for it, not too far from Gatwick. We will be in Gatwick twice. So, yeah, that would be a possibility. Because what I always do on the last night, because we're flying out at about 10 o'clock in the morning or something out of Gatwick, what I always do on the last night is I stay in the Premier Inn that's actually at Gatwick. Because that way it is... barring anything really bad that infects the entire airport, you're not going to miss your plane. You don't have to worry about traffic. You can get up later. All those sorts of things. It's a bouncy little thing, isn't it? Oh, this is jointed track too. Vectron rips his CDs and vinyls in flak. Good plan. We are on a bouncy little unit today. It's like as bouncy as a pacer. This must be a very rough track in the game. If you want to see really bouncy, run a pacer on Maintalbarn. That's hilarious. The timetable we are running is a modded timetable. I shall put a link in again to the chat. It's from Train Sim Community, and it is by Fiber Optic Cable Core, which is an odd name for a modder, but unique at the very least, and it will help you to remember. Hornby Man says Hornby models are awesome. They are pretty good. Hornby probably need to work on their commercials from what I've seen, because they're very slowly going bankrupt. Lord Vectron says you can skirt around by watching and commenting on it. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's so old now. It was mid-80s, I think, that ad. So yeah, I could make a video that watched that one in the background and talk about it, yes. But I wouldn't put it in the middle of a stream. But it is pretty... The other way to do it would be to recreate it in Train Sim World, and I'm pretty sure on Creators Club there actually is a Police 37. Pretty sure I've seen one there. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's a mod one as well. Let's have a look. We shall just search for police. Yeah, there is. There's a Class 37 police train. So I think at some point I might have to make up a video that recreates that ad. Just because I can. Because it would be funny. Seems fair. Vectron says, have one criticism of Riviera, there's no huge wave splashing around Dawlish. When it's storming, that would be awesome to drive along and have scripted whitewash over the train in front. Well, you know, funny you mentioned that. There is actually a mod, but it broke when Riviera was patched, and I don't think it's been reinstated yet. I'm sure it will. But, you know, modders are private individuals. Does take a little bit of time to get stuff done.
We are now approaching St. Earth. Please mind the gap between the train and the platform, and take care when stepping down from the train.
Vectron says the speed seems high for that line. Why don't we get into this next bit, which is slow train to nowhere? We do already have the left-hand green, which takes us down to St. Ives, but we are supposed to stop here and let people in and out. Still just see that we have got the green there, so we shall go. And we can't go fast here. It's a slow speed corner. Complex junction inner corner. Southerner says there's a really nice Caribbean restaurant in Crawley, the town where Gatwick is, if you need some grub and don't want to pay airport prices. That could work out. We shall chat. Hornby Man says that's your best Hornby model. I don't see where you talked about an actual model. I have two Hornby models. I have a Black 5. I used to have a lot of stuff because I used to run HO. I don't run HO anymore because I got into narrow gauge. And I still have the Black 5 because I was one of the people... I thought that light was on. I was one of the people who was an original customer of a digital control system before DCC. It was an Australian invention. And I've got the whole system still. I'm the only person who know that's still got it all. I don't use it because I don't have a layout running currently. And I did at one point try and give it to the Science Museum, but they weren't up for it because I don't think they quite understand the significance of it. That someone came up with a digital control system for trains like 25 years before DCC. It was a huge game changer. So I kept that Black 5 because it's got a decoder installed in it. I ripped them out of all of the other trains before I sold them. Some of them I even upgraded them to DCC before I sold them because you got a better selling price that way. The other one I've got a Gronk and a guards van that I bought last year because the people who built Betton Grange are trying to fund the building of a tender for Betton Grange because currently they've got one that they've leased from somebody. And while neither the guards van nor the Gronk is at all valuable, and oh, we're not stopping here. Sorry. Bye-bye. I just realized it's the next one we're stopping at. I think almost nothing stops at that one in real life either. But I bought those to help funding Betton Grange's tender. Because I think they're probably, together, they're probably worth about £2, and I think I paid 25 for them both. But it was, you know, it's just a way of funding that project. Betton Grange, if you don't know, is a particular class of locomotive of which there are no others in existence. And what they did was they took another class that was relatively close and they converted it into a Grange and rebuilt the thing from scratch. So it's got an enormous number of new parts in it. It will have a very long lifetime. It's got a new boiler. It's one of the things I actually find that's quite cool in railway preservation currently, says he going way too fast. There's a lot of people building new steam engines. So there are 3 more that I'm aware of in the UK. Actually 4. There's 4 more I'm aware of in the UK. In the US, the T1 Trust is building one. I know of in South Africa, there's a Garrett being built. So there's some quite incredible stuff going on around the world. Wouldn't surprise me if there's others. Real Lord Vectron said, of course someone made a mod for it. Yeah, absolutely. But I think there's one on Creators Club too for that 37 police class, so you can actually run it on consoles too. Off we go to Carbis Bay. Victron says it just seems like an oversight because as a non-British person, that's what I see when I look up Dawlish Railway. Yeah, it's not as prevalent now. They've got the big wall. So most of the videos you're looking at are prior to the big wall, when they used to actually flood the track relatively often. One of the things the HSTs were quite good at was actually running through those storms and getting drenched and still keep going. Salt water must have done horrible things to them, but they kept working. The 802s don't like it. So they built the giant wall after Dawlish got trashed. When they said, never happening again. Hornby man says Hornby need an interior in the Class 37. And for those of you who don't know, Hornby's actually a little more prolific than just Hornby too, because they also own the Lima brand. They have a couple of others as well. I'm not 100% certain exactly which ones they are, so I'm not going to mention any names, but they're, I know they have got some. My understanding is this entire area here is supposed to be underwater, and this bit's got it, but all of this area never got its water. It never got fixed. Kind of sad. I think this was Rivet's second route on their own. I think Arosa was first and then this one. From memory. I think they were that way round. And I know they kind of got caned by the community for this one. As someone who has no idea about the area, I mean, it looked kind of, mostly it looked alright, but it was a bit, bare, shall we say. Real Lord Vectron says, I read articles about the 802s getting flooded and stalling. They should have put it in the requirements, I guess, that they, needed the 802s to be as resilient as the HSTs when they're underwater. Hornby reckons it's a waste of time to put Hornby to put DCC in locomotives. Ooh, there's a man who doesn't run DCC. If you ran DCC, you would never say that. It's a game changer. You can do things like bring two trains into the same platform without having any switches. You can join trains together. You can run double headers, triple headers, 4s, 5s. One of the N-scale layouts I've seen running DCC, they model US railroading, and they actually have got scale-sized 2-mile-long trains with, 10 to 12 locos running in them. You can't do that without DCC. Vectron says, my issue with Hornby is their models look like toys as opposed to fine scale models, even their premium ones. 20-year-old Australian models have better detailing. I think I've seen some pretty good stuff from Hornby with some really good detail in it, so yes and no, I guess. The amount of detail you put in models, it's very hard to please everybody, I suppose. Vectron says, my second issue is they won't use normal scales. OO is fine. From an issue, they chose TT instead of N. Actually, TT's really taking off. TT was around. I had a TT layout when I was a kid. It works well for people in smaller dwellings that can't have OO or HO or even ON30, O, G. It's a good compromise. I think N is actually a little bit too small for when you get older. It's good when your eyes work. And when your fingers are dexterous, it's a good scale. But as people age, they tend to give up on N because it's too little. It's too hard to put things on the track. Flying Sudden says, alright, it's approaching 20 past 11 in the evening and a shoot off. I won't be live later today, no. Not planning on it anyway. You never know what might happen in the evening. Because I'll be popping into Brickvention and recording with Melbourne Train Guy. He's quietly gone off to Brickvention now, that's why he's not chatting anymore. And have to go over to my in-laws after that for a while. It's what's called a name day, because they're Greek. Name days are more important than birthdays, so we don't necessarily go to people's birthdays, but we do go to their name days. No, let's try and get the house through the bottom. That'll do it. That'll be a good shot. Looks like a funicular at that angle. Yeah, Hornby are making new TT stuff. But TT's not a new scale, not at all. It's been around for quite a long time. Vectron says, I want to collect non-AU locals in N-scale that I like. Well, helps with the room. If I ever build my layout again, there's actually a layout with no track on it. The road bed's still there. But in my old house, in a shed in the backyard, it's the only part that the tenant doesn't have access to. There's a layout in there. There's a whole lot of stuff stored in there too. I got all, I think, yeah, I think I've got all the trains here. I don't think I left any trains up there. But, and I pulled up the track as well. But I'd never had time to disassemble the system for the road bed or anything else, so it's all still there. So if I ever build my layout again, if, for example, my wife were to stop liking Halloween so much that we have a 2-car garage full of Halloween stuff, or if perhaps we never actually end up needing the spare bedroom that people generally don't ever stay in, and if I manage to have that for a railway room, which would be cool, because this room that I'm in here, which is where my and Christine's gaming machines are, was another candidate for a train room, but we used it for this instead. It will be ON30, which to me is a good compromise between HO and O. It's basically, stock's a little bit bigger than HO, so it's O scale stock, but it's running on HO track, so 16.5mm track. Vectron says, I knew TT scale is old, just annoyed the rest of the world chose N, Hornby chose TT. I don't think the rest of the world did choose N. American stuff chose N, and so did Japan, because Japanese industry was essentially run by Americans after the war. But TT is actually the predominant scale in Europe. And it's becoming more so. River Rossi have got TT stuff. They always have had. I'm pretty sure River Rossi is owned by Hornby these days. So I would expect more TT rather than less. And Australia went with N, but Australia also has TT. I've seen TT in Australia. Wait till this finishes and return to free roam. We might conductor it back. Vectron says, almost like they don't want people to mix their locos with other regions' trains. The Apple of model trains. No, I don't think they are. I think just across Europe, I think it's a good choice. I figured it would just chuck me out without letting me do anything. So let's return to free roam and hope it doesn't take too long. We'll see when it's set to go back. The AI can take care of I just hit myself in the face with the door. Do not forget your BR1 key. Yes, because you can't get back in without it. $7.24, so that's pretty cool. People polls. Ice cream. When this route came out, there was some guy that was going off about having ice cream sitting in the sun. I reckon it thinks I've taken charge of that train, doesn't it? Maybe I think we should respawn in here at 7:20. We'll do that. And then we'll come and conductor it. So what service is it? It just says on foot, but we should be able to find it because it's 7:24. So let's go and do that. Because otherwise we're going to have to sit here waiting for it to go, oh, do you want to give up control? Go, yeah. Victron says, as long as I can get the OG orange TGV in TT. Don't know, go hunting, see if you can. West Cornwall Local, Timetable, 2019. 150. Come on. And 7:24. There we go. It's that one. Let's go to April again because that was nice and bright. Bit more fog because it's the ugly end of the line. Bit more wind. And we will run this one as a guard / conductor. I still hate that they called it conductor. Hello, Crazy XX. Unlock the door controls. Alright, I've got to try remember how to do it now. Is there a panel? 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 Must be a panel somewhere. It's on the other side. Or do we have to do it in a cab? Oh, no, there it is. Oh no, we're going to turn them on, don't we? I didn't open mine. Oh, of course, because I turned on guard key. That was silly. And you get... Don't have too much fun, do you? No, you can't get on those ones. I always wanted to be able to get on this and drive it. Well, platform's not clear because look at all these people coming. They're too slow. They're all going to try and get in here though, aren't they? There you go. So all the other ones should be closed now, so I should be able to do this. Got tickets at the first stop. Hey, Nude Nut. It's an Ives to Cobbles Bay. Yeah, no worries, buddy. Hello. Sure. Yeah, okay. How you doing? Oh, yeah? Good enough? Going to Cardiff Central. The game will tell me that this is wrong, but I know you can get to Cardiff from here, so yeah, I'm just going to accept it. And the game will tell me I took an invalid ticket, because the game is not clever. It's an Ives to Gubbers Bay, sure. How about you, Nude Nut? More St. Ives to Gubbers Bay. No problemo. Hello. Going to St. Earth. Very good. No one hiding behind a corner. Hey, Matt, you still in the toilet? That logo looks so wrong, doesn't it? How many committee meetings do you think they had that said, how far do we need to make the body from the baby so it doesn't look like they're doing bad things to the baby? No one in this garage. Anybody in this carriage? Or have I... Oh no, I've done them all. Let's go visit old mate up the front then. See who's driving. Hi there. You having fun? Oh, you've got your headlights on today. That's good. What else have you got going? Nothing really. Oh well, leave you be. Have fun. Wait for the next stop. Dutifully waiting. That would be here. Alright, we better get up, go find a guards panel. Is there one here? No, boring. Is there one here? Oh, there is. Nice. Do I have to do that? Is there a thing to actually unlock this panel? Or can I not use this one? Alright, I have to confess I don't know how to use that one. Does that work? No. There must be something else you have to do to that panel. And I don't know what it is. So we'll go and use one of these ones. There's not one on that one. There's one. Thought I turned that to on. Oh, there we go. I turned it the wrong way. What a dope. And yes, we're supposed to unlock the local door first. I know. That's fine. Yeah, it looks clear to me. There's no thousands of people there. No. Lights off. Oh, there's a poster to do. Sorry, drive. Had me other job too. Oh, and bags. There we go. Okay. It's very involved, isn't it? No tickets. What? Oh well, go back up the front and watch then. I think she doesn't want me to sit here. Did you put my seat up? I think you did. Boots. What does that switch to? Nothing, apparently. We shall wait for the next stop. Rail says, how do people update scripts for games? Well, in TSW, you can't update anything that someone else has produced, but you can create your own. You can build them in the public editor. We were running a set of scenarios on Wednesday night with Rob from DTG for West Somerset Railway. It just dredged my memory there. So you can create your own scripting, but you can't change someone else's. In Transcend Classic, you actually can change their Lua if they give you access to it. So the Lua source, it's what's the best way to put it? It's not encrypted, it's obfuscated in Transcend Classic. So you need to get the source code from whoever's got it, and you can change that source code, and you can overwrite the obfuscated version with it, and you can then change things. So you certainly can do that. Hornby Man says best Hornby OO or TT. I'm not a fan of OO gauge because it's not a real gauge. It's not actually a scale size. So I prefer HO for gauge, but these days I run ON30. Well, would if I had layout. Vectron says, I've sat in a meeting for 2 hours for a procedure revision where no decision was made at all. Oh, we've all had meetings like that. What did we get done today? Nothing. Great. And you're guessing to discuss that toilet logo for weeks. Oh, I reckon they probably did too. Life. You drive a lot slower than I do, you know that? Much. You look like you need some fresh air. Is that better? I think it's better. I might have some fresh air too. It's probably because Richie Rail was in here and dropped one of his trademark farts. If you haven't experienced a Richie Rail fart, you are a very lucky person. He, myself, and Casual visited the North Yorkshire Moors Railway, and we drove there in Casual's car, and Richie dropped one just as we got out, which we all got to enjoy while we were getting out of the car. And when we came back about 8 or 9 hours later, it was still there, waiting for us. Lurking. Hey, I've got you now, my pretties. That's such a strange thing to say. Ensure 3 tongues are engaged. I know what they mean, but it's still strange. Are we there yet? Go on, you can go faster. You know you want to. Waiting for the next stop. Can't use that. Oh, here again. That worked all right. Just for the people who are wondering what optimization means, it means this. Flattening textures and low resolution textures. That is optimizing. Oh, you found the throttle. Well done. Just in time to get to a station. Well done, you. Better go and open the door. Is there a place to put a guard's key in this one? I don't see any way to actually make that one work. Unless you have to do this door first. Nah, it doesn't do anything. There must be another place to put a key. Not there. Oh, there we go. There we go. Look at that. Now it'll work. Go on then, you miscellaneous hordes. Jump in. Weed Sim World. Yes. Oh, I've already eaten that one. That's a bummer. Those of you from Australia might remember Bill and Ben, the Flowerpot Men, with weed that lived in the middle. That was, of course, a perfectly innocent game or innocent TV show. Check passenger ticket. 48? What?
The next
Yeah.
station is St. Earth. This is a Great Western Railway service to St. Earth.
Oh, I'm going to have to move pretty quick to check these. How did that many people get on there? You're all going to St. Earth. What's going on? And I can't find the talkie spot for her. What's going on in St. Earth today, folks? Must be something pretty impressive. You're not. Yeah. No one's had a bad one yet. Leland Swansea. Look, I know you can, but I reckon the game will reject it and say I did a wrong ticket. But you can certainly get to Swansea from here. Not on this train, but on another train around the corner. And there's nothing stopping you actually buying a ticket that will let you do that. Although there's a fair chance you might have two tickets. One for this train and one for the other one. But often they're one ticket in the age of the e-ticket. Reminds me I need to find another way to buy train tickets in the UK because I don't want to use Trainline this time because I had way too much problems. I'll use Trainline for GWR because GWR are really cool. And if you need a refund, they just take care of it. They just handle it. They're magnificent. But, cross-country? No. The C in cross-country does not stand for country. Very much stands for something else. I'm going to have to go pull the emergency brake so we've got time to do the rest of these tickets. Because you lot are not getting out of here without getting your tickets checked. How many more have we got? 12 more. Well, it's slow corner to St. Earth. Can I do 12 more? Oh no! I picked the wrong answer. Seven to go. Can we do it? Will my hand actually fall off? It's funny that some of them the talking point. Oops, wrong answer. It's funny the talking points on their head. Some of them's on their head. Other ones it's on the window next to them. Sometimes it's on their belly. I'm stuck. Briefcase. Bag. Yay! Did it. There's no Thomas in this timetable, sorry to say. Lord Vectron stands, the G stands for great. Yes. Otherwise it would just be Western Railway. And that would be boring. I think I left that on, didn't I? I did. What would happen if I just opened the door now? Almost need to know. Do you need to know? I need to know. Nothing. Ooh, look, good timing. There goes an Intercity. I have to say, of all the railway operators in the UK, my experience with Great Western has been absolutely awesome. Come on. Because on the one occasion that they had an issue, it was because someone jumped in front of a train. They didn't communicate the reason. The reason came out in the media later, but they communicated that there was an issue. There would be delays. The delay repay option was explained. They even said for tourists, you can call this number so that you can get your cash sooner. Those people should all be getting off, but they're not. So we're going to leave them here. And that's fine. Boop, boop. And how many tickets did I get wrong? 3. So I accepted 5,100 points worth of valid tickets. I rejected some invalid ones and got points. I accepted some invalid ones. Did I? Oh, they'll be the ones that I was talking about where they go to things like Swansea or wherever. Hello, Pete. Welcome. Yeah, so I don't really actually agree with how this works. I think it could be better because the reality is you actually could get a ticket from St Ives to Swansea. There's no reason why you can't have one. And just because it's not this, it's off the path of the train, the game rejects it and says, no, you can't do that. But, you know, I want to accept them because they're actually right. Anyway, let's go back to the main menu. Let's have a look at something else on this one. There's no Thomas in this timetable rails, so we can't do Thomas. We're having a look at the West Coast Local modded timetable, Pete. And anybody else that's just recently joined. Hope you're having a good day, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Oh, what should we run this time? How about some freight? What does the Class 37 do? Ooh, milk. What does the Class 37 do? Must be a rail tour, yeah. All right. See how excited I am about that. What does the 66 do? Oh, let's take any of these. Via Falmouth Docks. Can you even get to Falmouth Docks on here? I didn't think so. Oh well, let's run a 66. And we'll come back and run a 37 as a rail tour. I think that seems fair. Get it in April, so it's like 10:45. I wouldn't matter anyway. Back to January then. Give it some fog. Bit more fog, bit of wind, lots of clouds, go. It is quite cool, but it's quite extensive timetable. I know, I'm sad. I'm getting ready to drink milk. Isn't that sad? I love how that went red and then green and then the railway gates opened and maybe that shouldn't be green because the railway gates are open. But anyway, let's get this thing ready to roll. And that one should be the reverser. No. Oh yeah, reverser's on here. That way. Switches look like they're all on. We are goods, which is good. That's been set up properly. Want some headlights up there. Daytime. We don't want tail lights. We do want instrument lights. Duke. We don't want cab lights. Oh, hang on. Instrument lights were on, weren't they? They don't look like they're on, but I guess they are. So what are we hauling? Ah, it's an RHTT. Fair enough. But we don't have the 66 with the thing, because it's not here. Oh. Do you know I never knew you could open one or the other? Ha! Okay. Let's start releasing some brakes. While we sit here waiting for our 2 minutes. Get the train pumped up. Alright. And just because we don't want it to roll away, we can put on some local brake. Which is a good thing to do. And we know our brakes are cut in and we know we're on goods, so that's all good. Pete watched the visit of Didcot the other day. Very interesting. Oh, it's a cool place. I like Didcot. It's run the way railway museums were before the age of occupational health and safety. So, certainly not a nanny state working there. $66,152. Dragging sausages. And I guess we're going to reverse direction up here somewhere, maybe. Or the signals will change. Because we do have a red. But we're not going to resist the bridge shot. Just because we're approaching a red signal, now are we? Now let's get high as we get the church in. Now we'll deal with the red signal. So if you're travelling in the UK, Didcot is absolutely well worth your time. Shall we ask the signalman? Is there a phone in here? Not there. Denied. Alright, let's see what's coming. What are we waiting for? Bloody long signal blocks. Why are we waiting? I haven't seen a train. Oh, there's this one coming towards us, but that shouldn't matter. Oh, there we go. There's one going into a platform there. It's probably a NATO 2. I'm guessing. Come on. But yeah, I'd encourage people to go visit Didcot for sure. And if you do what I did and stay in Swindon, because there's not really anywhere to... If you've got a car, there are some hotels in Didcot or near it. But if you don't have a car and you want to stay near it, stay in Swindon. Because there's also the Great Western Museum there. And there's all the Great Western Railway buildings all around Swindon. And the people at Didcot are very, very friendly, I have to say. If you were thinking about how to establish a culture for a rail museum for the rail community, Didcot is an amazing example. Nope, slippage. Oh, this is one of those ones with the phantom needles, where the phantom needle's not actually connected to the needle itself, so you don't... There's supposed to be a shadow around the needle, but they don't actually operate. There's a few 66s like this. Spectron says, taking notes when I'm a billionaire and start my own heritage railway. Well, funny you should mention that, because at Didcot there is actually a train that belongs to a billionaire. No slippage this time. Much better. Mucho better. There's that 802 that we saw coming. And we've slipped over the top of the grade. And we'll now run down the other side and wish we had dynamic brakes, but we don't. So all we can really do is that. Richard Branson, yes. Actually, no, it's not Branson, it's I can't think of the guy's name. Waterman. Waterman's got a train there. Also, the train wasn't slipping, you were doing 34 mile an hour, it switched from series to parallel. Oh, cool. Pete says, I treated myself to a UK departure board last week. It's awesome. Last night it was interesting. Lots cancelled out due to human incident. And today at Watford, DC cancelled due to broken rail. That's really cool. I keep thinking about getting one when I'm there. I'd probably get the smaller one, because they are really cool. And I wish I could hook it up to Australian data sources. We do have APIs that provide that data, but they're not the same. So you'd have to write a service that sat in the middle and converted the data from one to what the device is expecting. And I don't think that's an insurmountable job. And with something like, well, I won't mention products, but there's lots of integration products that are quite good at doing that kind of thing. Do I have safety systems on? Clearly not. And I think on this route you really need the track monitor, because you're not going to get much warning of reds, I don't think. Right, it's not an insurmountable job, but writing the code to do it and having a machine running to do it, whether it was deployed on something little like a Pi, or whether it was on a PC. It'd be really cool as a stream background, though. I'm taking liberties with the late braking because it's such a small train, so we should get away with it. Maybe. Nah, I think we're good. Oh, look at that. Beautiful timing. You just sit here and wait for the brakes to release so I don't snap the couplers by powering before they do. Pete says sits nicely on the wall. Have the announcements too. Oh, cool. It's not as big as the one that AC Boy has. Yeah, he's got the big one. There's the little desktop one too. Hentus has got one of those. But you look at the price difference between the one that Hentus has got, the tiny one, and then there's the one that's, I think it's about that big. And then there's the one that British Hayes has, which is like, it's almost the life-size version. The price difference between them is actually not that much, between the little one and the medium one. So I reckon the medium one is the way to go. Jacob Music, this is West Coast Local, and we are running a modded timetable for West Coast Local. Let me give you a link. It's available to people on PC. It works for sure in Steam and Epic, and I have got mods working in the Xbox Store version for PC as well. So if you've got the game licensed on Xbox, you can actually run it on PC as well through the Xbox Store, and mods do work with it. Hello, Best News 2036. Do we have to wait till 2036 for Best News? That's a long time. That's a very long time. Maybe we could just have some good news. We need some good news. World's a bit shit. Pete said, medium is what you have. Be fab if you could manage to link it to your Aussie trains. It'd be kind of fun to have UK ones as well, but getting the locals would be good. Because if we had the locals, it changes it from some nerdy thing that a streamer might buy and turns it into something useful for the family, because they could actually look at when our local trains are leaving the stations, for example. Which you can do anyway by going to the website, but at least this is fun. Best News says, I wish there was multiplayer. Maybe in TSW 7. No, there won't be multiplayer for this game. It's not built for it. So it was an early aim. It was one of the things they wanted to do, but the architecture wouldn't allow for it because it just can't cope with multiple players running multiple trains, sadly. If you want multiplayer though, both Railroader and SimRail support multiplayer. SimRail is now out on Xbox as well as PC. I think, does Subway Sim have multiplayer? Don't think so. Railroader's still PC only. There is some possibility of that coming to console, but it has not yet. There's an irony in 66 doing 66 miles an hour.
Got you half of each.
Thank you.
White chocolate and raspberry and Biscoff.
My train's going to crash because I got given a muffin. Railroad is a really good game. I often stream it, so if you go and have a look at my streams, you'll see what it's about. I'll probably do another one relatively soon, I imagine. But not today, because it takes a good 4 hours to get a day done in Railroader. But I quite enjoy it, so if you like Steam and early Diesel era, it's set in the US. It's basically a company game. So it has purpose. You are moving freight around and passengers around a railway to make money, to improve your railway, or just to make money because you want to make money. Pete says this game struggles with single player, let alone multiplayer. Yeah, that's true. It's yes. Yes, is probably the best way to put that. I'd apologise for eating muffin in front of you, but oops, making a mess. I'll have to vacuum later. I suppose I should buy SimRail on the Xbox and try it out. Because I haven't tried the Xbox version. The PC version runs fine on my machine, but I don't stream it because it seems to be allergic to streaming software. It certainly doesn't like my setup. It ends up looking like a bit of a blurry mess, to be honest. So my guess is it's so close to the VRAM headroom that when I start streaming using some of the VRAM for the encoder, it dies. Joke will be on me if this red signal's actually at St Austell 2 miles away. And I've already slowed down for it. That's a very steep gradient. Where does that go? Oh, there's a little yard up here. Okay. Fair enough. It's not on the map, though, which means it's not playable. Best defense to yellow signals on a railway is go slowly. Dog war out the front. I don't know if the dog's barking came through the mic or not, but... A little bit of static stock sitting around. So to make full use of this, it pulls in stuff from Riviera, stuff from Great Western Express, the HST. Ooh, an HST run. We should do an HST run. And the 220. And optionally, so those ones are required. You need to have those for DLC. And what it describes as somewhat optional because the route gets less and less busy if you don't have them. West Coast Mainline Preston Carlisle Class 47. Southeastern High Speed BR Class 20 Chopper. These must be AI. Railhead Treatment Train, West Somerset Railway, BR Class 52 Westerns, BR Class 86 Mark II F coaches, and the Edinburgh Glasgow Engineering Express Pack 66. They're all optional. Don't want to pick up too much speed because we're still riding the yellows. Says he immediately picking up too much speed. As we progress towards St Austell. Look at that, the red signal is in St Austell. Of course, if we're actually acting as an RHTT, we'd have to go a lot slower than this. This part of the route's quite good, Pete. It's the bit down to the beach, down to St Ives, that's not so hot. Trusts the one break application. Excellent. Thrown out of the chair immediately. All right. It's an HST service, I think. Did I just do return to timetable? I did, didn't I? Yep. Bum. Bum. I think we need to do an HST run. Sounds like a plan. What time is it? It's 11:15. I can go till 12:15. That will be fine. So we'll do Penzance to London Paddington because that's the other way around. Oops, custom. 5:39. We better take this right up to June so that it's daylight. Bit of fog, bit of wind. Go. See you later, Lord Vectron. Enjoy yourself. I'll have some errands as well in the not too distant future, but I can keep going for a little while, so I will. Musticky. And all the way to forwards. Get the doors open. Safety systems. Instrument lights. Headlights. Day headlamp and markers. That sounds fine to me. Nice early morning run. Can you turn on GSMR in this one? No. I think we've got about everything that can be turned on in this. In our little HST. Sadly, these things have transitioned out of the world now. Well, out of this world anyway. Been replaced by the beasties down there. It's a bit mean to have its replacement sitting next to it. Pete says, I'm hoping the Class 730 is added to West Coast Mainline South. Although watching my departure board, they seem to have a lot of faults. Well, you know, that could be fine. That would be prototypical. We'll have to have a think. I need to think about, do I want some TS controllers hardware? Or do I want a departure board? Because I probably can't build up the cache for both. I can have one or the other. And away we go. When the brakes release anyway, we will. Nice gentle start to the trip. Using heavier fog on the routes that are a bit older sort of hides some of the old ways of doing things, so that makes the route look better. They're very squeaky, aren't they? It's one of those interesting things where you get penalised for doing 16 miles an hour, because in reality no one would actually care. Because it's within the accuracy of your speedometer. Full bananas now. All good. Past the wash plant. And the maintenance depot. A few trains sitting in the yard there, some cross countries, some 802s. Do these gates open? Actually, they might not open for ages because the signal blocks are massive on this route. Oh no, there they go. Bing! Sadly, won't be able to ride an HST through here. Bit of a bummer, but that's life. But it's great squeaky carriages. Burble along here. Got a little while to Camborne. That's about, yeah, it's about a third of the way, and then we keep going on from there the rest of the route. Looks like a couple of additional people have joined recently. Welcome along. You're welcome to dive into the chat if you feel like it. And for the people that are normally used to me streaming tomorrow, apologies that that won't be happening this week because I will be at Brickvention with our club layout. It's been quite the weekend really, because I think I've spent more effort doing work for things I want to do this weekend than actually at work during the week, because I was helping set Big Friction up for the bump in on Thursday, and yesterday I was driving steam trains at Puffing Billy, and today I'm doing this with you guys. And we've got some other stuff coming up this afternoon. I'm interviewing a content creator for the podcast and probably popping into Brickvention because I can. And going off to the family for a little while. And then tomorrow I'll be back at Brickvention all day, so busy. I think I did a weekend to recover from my weekend. Brakes off. I was trying to think of if I've ever driven a service that stopped at Camborne before. Not sure. Ramble our way through the countryside. Across the giant viaduct. Gratuitous bridge shot necessary. And we shall chuck all the bananas in to feed the monkeys so that they pedal faster to make the train go quicker. Osiris asks, has there been any info on the 8:05 preview that was cancelled on Wednesday? There will be another one scheduled. What we were told is that it was just an error in the scheduling, and that they weren't actually planning on doing it that early. So they'll schedule another one when they're ready. I don't think it'll be terribly far away. So we should see that set up soon, so keep an eye on the Train Sim World channel. Does seem like quite a lot of people are looking forward to the 8:05. Much better. Get the blinding sun glare out of your eyes. Yeah, I think there's going to be, just based on the stuff that they were talking about in December, there's going to be plenty of stuff coming up this year. I would, just based on past year's timing, be expecting a roadmap within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Also, based on last year's timing, I would not be all that surprised if there were some sales coming up. We've just had a really big PlayStation sale with some massive discounts. It's actually interesting because the PlayStation people don't get a lot of sales, but when they get one, oh, they're good. And DLC for just about free. Not quite free, but just about free, like only a few dollars. They're never that deep on Steam or Xbox. There was an Xbox sale about 3 weeks ago, and there was a Steam sale that finished last week. But just based on past experience, I expect Steam and Epic coming up again shortly. I'm also hoping we hear news of some of the things that we're waiting for, like Tadami. I know the GWER isn't very far off, so we should hear some announcements about that from officialdom. It kind of has to come out this month or next month, or it won't make the 0 to 3 months that was indicated in the October roadmap. Osiris spent a fortune around Christmas finishing your UK collection. I know that feeling. I've in the last sale bought stuff for TS Classic. Things that I have not had Oops, and I completely forgot about this slow, but we'll be okay. But that's good that you've completed your UK collection, because that'll actually set you up fairly nicely for GWE, the remaster, because it uses rather a lot of the other DLC. So it'll be really interesting to see how people receive that one. It'll also be really interesting to see how well it runs on consoles. Osiris says, worth it, hours of fun given the way gaming is headed just now. Oh, indeed. If you look at the price of content, and I know as an ambassador being out there, I get it for nothing. But if you look at the price of content based on hours of play, it's quite reasonable, especially if you pick it up on a sale. And I do encourage people to pick things up on sales. I am pretty sure I saw a floating sheep back there. I mean, just riding the train that I work on, just riding that, costs $100. That's twice the price of a DLC, essentially. It's about the same price as 8 cups of coffee bought from a cafe. Everything is expensive these days. Here we are coming into Camborne, which I almost forgot about and glanced up in the top left and went, oh yeah, I'm supposed to stop here. It's been a little while. That is the danger of driving for quite a few miles and you think, oh yeah, I'm meant to stop, aren't I? Pete's looking forward to the Richmond extension. I think a lot of people are looking forward to that one. Oops, we're not quite going to make it, are we? Oh no. We're still driving to the end of the platform. Come on, you can do it, little train. We're not going to leave our bum hanging out in the wind. Like somebody seeking attention as they wander down the street. Richmond will bring the trains through into route hopping distance for another one of the lines too. West Coast Main Line, I think. If I remember rightly. This poor little HST is really not coping with this gradient in trying to crawl along to get to the end of the platform without maximum power. But never mind, that's fine, this is near enough. Doors opening. Max Thrash departure. As those people walk up and go, damn it, missed it. Osiris says, I used to plough money into Call of Duty, not worth it given it's a new game every year, but TSW content rolling on, so new money suck. Yeah. I think we all have our games that we pour cash into. I think probably the one that I've spent the most on is the combination of ETS and ATS, the truck simulators. I have invested in those ones. But it's all about playtime for cash, really. If you want a real money suck, get into Train Sim Classic. I think I saw written somewhere that there's about $15,000 worth of DLC that you can buy across Steam and the various other sources of Train Sim Classic stuff. Cyrus says, I've got it all, the ATS, ETS stuff too, need it for console now as new PC is way too expensive. Another possibility, and to be clear, I have nothing to do with them, is Steam Machine. I'm looking forward to see what that will be like when it comes out. Because it has potential to deliver a console-like experience with PC-like hardware. So we'll see how that goes. And you can, if you want to, uninstall SteamOS and put Windows on it. I don't know why you'd want to. SteamOS is perfectly okay. It runs fine on the Steam Deck. I still haven't figured out a way to stream from the Steam Deck apart from capturing the HDMI output. So it probably would be a reasonable thing to do at some point to show how various games that I play work on the Steam Deck, because some are good, some are not. And the Steam Machine hardware is more powerful than the Steam Deck hardware, so hopefully. Sorry, says, I was looking at that, the way RAM prices are going, that could be costly too. There has been some indicative pricing, so I don't know where you are in the world, but Australian, they were looking at somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500 Australian dollars, so that's probably not that unreasonable, given what it is. I won't be going there because I've got a UK holiday to pay for. Because between now and the holidays, we pay for everything. My other half has contributed the airfares as a 60th birthday present for me. and I'll be covering everything else on the holiday. So we're starting to actually work out our plans now. There's an event in the middle of it that I want to attend that's not that clear in its dates just yet, but we're just basically going by last year's for the moment, because there's nothing else that I can do. In the UK, Osiris? Cool. Yeah, so I think the kind of areas that'll be on this year's trip, we know Scotland is definitely part of it. Because I didn't do Scotland deliberately because I know she wanted to see it, and in the last couple of trips I've been on my own, so I avoided it. Lots of interesting stuff happening in Edinburgh in the time that we will be there, but there's other places to go and see too, like Island of Skye and Dundee and things like that. We may even stay in Dundee because Edinburgh's ridiculously expensive in that time frame because of the festival. Well, if you're near Glasgow, Osiris, from a tourist perspective, where do you think would be a better place to set up as a base for a week? Glasgow or Dundee? So we're doing day trips all around the place with the various locks and castles and exciting things like that. Preferably doing tours rather than self-navigating, because it just minimises how much I have to hire a car. Blackpool. I think Blackpool's a little far. We both have relatives in Scotland on both sides of the family. It's difficult to explain why there are Scottish people there, but there are. But we're not planning on visiting them. We may do, but we're not centering any of our plans around them. If we happen to get together, we happen to get together. We'll let them know where we're going to be. But then we'll probably, there will be some time around the southeast, because we're going to Chatham for, you know, obvious reasons. And then back over to the southwest because I want to do the Riviera. She wants to go to Cardiff, so going there via this is not out of the question. It would be a possibility. I like tooling around this area because I can use Great Western trains because they're quite reliable. Unlike some of the ones over on the eastern side of the country, which are less reliable. Wrong lever. Osiris would prefer Glasgow. That's cool. Actually, could come and run the little Glasgow subway, couldn't we? That thing was so funny when it came out for Train Sim Classic. It's like, why are we getting a fully automated train? That would make almost as much sense as a Docklands Light Railway coming out for Train Sim World. And so many people want it, but it's Why am I slowing down so much? It's a fully automated train. It doesn't seem to make that much sense. Pete says I'm usually in Somerset and Devon for the first 2 weeks of August. Well, you never know. Maybe we can say hello. I was just looking for the pad that I write things down on to remember. But I can't see the pad, so I've forgotten where the pad is that I use to write down to remember stuff, which is really, really clever. I have some paper here, though, which is my PZB cheat sheet. I'll write on the back of that. That'll be fine. Now, is there a pen? Yes, I know. I could just type it, but, you know. There's a pen. Because I would actually like to take her on the West Somerset Railway too, which is not out of the question from that location too. It's because I quite like the West Somerset, and Minehead was really nice. So I think staying there would be quite good. Yeah, we will be in London for some time. She wants to see the traditional touristy stuff, the stuff that I don't care about, like the Crown Jewels. I couldn't give a rat's. But she wants to see stuff like that, so. Because I've had 2 trips to the UK where it's been all about me and it's just been entirely trains and literally nothing else, well, almost. This time round, because she's coming along, there will be a lot more of stuff that she wants to do than what I want to do, because it's just fair. There's a bunch of markets in various cities that she wants to visit because she loves markety shopping things, so we'll go and do that. Mr. Toby's dad said you'll have to meet up with Rob if you get down there. Well, there's potential meeting up with Rob at a different time, so we'll stay tuned on that one. But yes, it would be getting down there. And he says Paddington is the best bet for the southwest. Not so likely to have your pockets picked in Paddington either. The only bad thing I've seen happen at Paddington was actually I've seen 2 bad things happen at Paddington. There was a very shouty guy that ended up getting dragged away by the police, which I thought deserved some respect. That they just controlled him and got him on the move. But the other one was a bloke that there was a whole lot of kids waiting to have their picture taken with Paddington on the park bench that's inside the station. And this bloke just ran up and teabagged Paddington in front of a bunch of kids, and for his own photo. I'm sort of thinking, yeah, it's not cool. If you're going to do shit things like that, go there at night when there's no kids. But, hey, Benjamin, how are you? I don't know. It's on the list, because if actually corresponded to a Steam day, that would be good. But I'm not sure, because we're still working out what we want to do, and at the moment it looks like the periphery. A lot of it's around the outside, so I'm not sure I'll even get into the middle. I do want to get to the Great Central Railway. I'm not sure if that will happen. That could potentially fall by the wayside, because it's not... I mean, even in these early stages, you just figure out what you want to do. When you look at it on a map, it's like it's all over the bloody place. Happy birthday! Yeah, Benjamin was in one of the recent podcast episodes, I think the last one actually, which was about Didcot. and our visit there, which was quite cool. It was very, very handy to have a knowledgeable local with you when you go to a place like that. It's good to share the experience. This is the West Cornwall Local, 80, but we are running a modded timetable, which brings it into the current era. And it's quite a good mod, I have to say, because even considering that there's a single line section, which really limits how much traffic you can have, it has, for that, been relatively busy. I'll just paste a link in again to the mod. Unfortunately not available for consoles, but certainly one if you've got the game on PC, whether you be Epic, Steam or the Xbox Store, and you've got the 4 mandatory DLC that this needs, I'd certainly encourage you to take a look at it. It doesn't cost anything. It seems to be reliable. I do also have to get up to York, because gonna go on a double date with Richie and Shan, and off to the Shambles, because Shan and Christine are both Harry Potter nuts, so the Shambles will be good for them. I went to the Shambles last year, and even I thought it was cool, and I'm not exactly what I'd describe as a Harry Potter nut. If you're unfamiliar with the Shambles, it's basically the inspiration for Diagon Alley. So it's quite cool. York is pretty good. I quite like York. And of course there's the National Rail Museum as well, which is finally fully open again. It wasn't when I went last year. Yeah, York is about 50 east of you. Cool. The Harry Potter studies, or studios, I'm guessing, are 5 minutes up the road from where you live. And York Minster, yes, too, is a very impressive building. I went on a riverboat trip last year when I was in York, because I had an hour and a half with nothing else to do between meeting some people and then meeting some other people. So I saw the boat and went, oh well, I'll go get on that. And the lady that was educating people along the way kept pointing out York Minster. Oh, there it is, peeking through the trees. There it is, peeking through the trees. And I went and had a look at the outside of it. I didn't go in because they actually had some kind of event going on inside. So I didn't go and have a look inside. But yeah, it's an impressive building. Should I be nice and let her in? Yeah, why not? Let's let her in. There you go. Run. If you're not getting in, I'm going to be mad. She's not, is she? Nah, just walk straight past the door. Actually, if you look down there, you'll see some doors still open until we start moving. It's because they're not drawing. That's optimization in action, that is. Next stop, St. Austell. We have the green. We almost missed a gratuitous bridge shot. What's going on? There you go. That'll do. Push all these up to steam. People can go, how did he get those trains on the route? AD says York Minster had a major fire in the late 80s and took nearly 10 years to get it back to how it was. Yeah, it's always sad when the big historic buildings have an issue like that, either because it was just an accidental thing, which does happen, or that someone's gone and done deliberately. People do some very interesting things sometimes. Cyrus loves York and had a great time there. Yeah, it's a really nice city. It's this good mix of old and new, and it seems to be relatively harmonious. I was talking to a copper near the station because I wanted to wander around at night time and take pictures of the lit up buildings because I like doing that. And I said, how safe is it at night time? And he says, as long as you stay away from anybody from Leeds, you'll be fine. That's kind of funny. So I get the impression York and Leeds are a bit like Melbourne and Sydney. No love lost, poking at each other all the time. Like siblings. This will be the last 11 miles of today's stream, unless there's something that people want to look at from the mod. If there is, sing out. We can go and have a look at it. I'm trying to find a hotspot for the blind in the dark. Very difficult. Ah, it's all over there. There we go. The sun's risen enough now. The only real challenge with York is getting there without using cross-country trains. Because 2 for 2. 2 trips, 2 cancellations. AD says Leeds is the biggest city in Yorkshire, and York is the country town. Yep. 9 miles to St. Austell. I do like visiting the routes from the game because it's it just adds an extra element when you're playing, and you can look at it and go, well, that's right. I remember that. I don't remember that. That's not right. It's like West Somerset. Before I actually spent 2 days riding the West Somerset Railway up and down, up and down, up and down, West Somerset Railway in the game bored me. But now I play it all the time. Because I have some connection with it, so I like it. And there you see where I didn't speed back up. Because I think the speed on those points is probably wrong. Either that or they used a much tighter set of points in the game than they should have. Back of it should be 3 days points by now. Yep. Safe. People I meet in the UK, there is potential for recording podcast episodes and the like. I kind of like the ones that I've been doing while walking around somewhere, because I think they maintain a bit more interest than a few people chatting on a couch someplace. And we were lucky with Benjamin, with Didcot, it was fairly quiet. There wasn't a lot of people around, so you don't hear a lot of background noise. But I am able to cope with high noise environments as well, because I have got the ability to process that out. I don't do it if you don't need to, because it does change the voice quality a bit. It's interesting that this route, it has got its steep sections, because GWR were relatively well known for their really flat railway. And I'm guessing that they must have learnt from the experience of building the first one in what that costs, and gave up. And didn't build any more flat railways. Pete says, I'm always annoyed they didn't include the station clock tower at Harrow and Wheatstone Station on West Coast Main Line. It's iconic in the station history. Yeah, there's often things like that. I mean, in Stuttgart, the Germans are annoyed that you can't see the massive power station, because you should be able to see it from about a third of the stations along the line, and it's just not there. And that has annoyed people. AD loves the tube. When I went there last year, the year before I didn't get to ride Bakerloo because someone set a bin on fire down on the station platform. Smart people. And they closed enough of Bakerloo that the trains weren't running where I was. But last year I managed to ride it end to end for a couple of trips. I also rode the Richmond line end to end. Did a 170 from Birmingham to Crewe. No, Birmingham to Liverpool, actually. All the way to Liverpool. Not Liverpool. Liverpool? Liverpool. Was Liverpool. Oh, that was just for riding the train. Didn't have any reason to go there. That must have been a very tall beaver back there. rode a bus around London last year. Rode trains out somewhere and caught a bus back. And that was just for the sake of catching the bus, because I could. That went through all the expensive shopping districts, that one. That's as close as I want to get to those shops. He says, I used to ride all around London on underground trains and some overground train lines back in about 1988 and 89. In 1988, I was standing in the cab of the Flying Scotsman. I recreated that last year. The tube's definitely quicker than the buses, but the buses are fairly quiet. It's like here, bus transport is the poor second cousin. Aaron makes the wheels for a job. Awesome. Rail says you were definitely in your 20s. Yes. In 1988. Rail says, speaking of rail fanning, I can't wait to rail fan in your home country, because you've never done that before. Stephen James Brown's photos, recent trip for the new year. Like you always rail fanned in your country. Oh, I know what you mean. Aaron loves trains. Awesome. That's probably why most of us are here, really. So your dad was 14 while your mum was 6 and your uncles on both sides of parents were 12 and 16. Was that when they were last there? That means it's not your home country, I hate to tell you. If you weren't born there. But that's okay. It's nice having a big button you can just pummel. 80 says, going around the circle line all day. Ooh, aggregate train. So who thinks I slowed down too early? I used the circle line a bit last year. I used it more the year before when Bakerloo was shut. I had to use it to get to where I was going to stay. I did the London Eye year before last. She's not great with heights, so I don't know if we'll do that. We'll see. Certainly got a good view of London from up there. And if you want to do other things that I don't care about, like Buckingham Palace, for example, getting a picture taken with a bloke on a horse. I couldn't be bothered doing things like that, but I know that she will be interested, so we will. So your parents were born in Azerbaijan and you think Israel is your home country. I think you were born in America, so your home country is America. United States of. Pete says, Eddie, my friend managed to visit every tube station back in the day. He loved it. There's a challenge here, Pete, which I think is probably impossible now because we've just opened a new line and it's added another 4 stations, and it was so tight before to make this happen. But there was a challenge to visit every station on the electric train lines in a 24-hour period. And I joined in on one of those, and it was hectic. One of the people in our group who loved planning things sat down and planned it all out, where we could get onto each train and which ones we had to meet, when we had to change platforms, which stations could we change from one to another where they had shared lines where we'd have the most time to do it and things like that. And we did it. We visited every possible electric train station in the 24-hour period. Because there's 4 new stations now, and because they have replumbed the network, if you like, with a couple of the lines don't actually join the others anymore like they used to. They run over each other now instead of, they used to run in parallel and you could jump between them at stations. That's a difficult challenge now, I suspect. It might still be possible based on timetables, but I think it would be a bigger challenge than it used to be. And it was very tight before. Like, we made it by, I think, 2 minutes for the last one. We're all sweating bricks, stopped at a red signal waiting to get into the station while another train pulled out. Rail says Chicago O'Hare recently got major renovations. I probably won't be flying into the United States anytime soon. Right. I think that's about it for today. Just finishing up the chat. It's quite the challenge, says Pete. Yeah, it was. It was very difficult. Now, you actually were born in Israel. All right, so it is your country. Fair enough, then. No politics. I won't say what I just thought. Benjamin says they do that here on the tube as well. Yeah, I think anywhere there's train lines, I imagine people think to have challenges like that because it's good fun. Anyway, I will be back on Wednesday night. I actually have no idea what I'm going to run on Wednesday, to be honest, this week. So I have to think about that because I looked at my schedule board and went, there's nothing there. Not that my schedule board's that extensive generally. I have things that I put in there from and try and plot things out and be a little bit organised, but not always. But anyway, enjoy yourselves. Have a good one. Thank you very much for joining in today. I appreciated the comments in the chat and the people who are just lurking along behind the scenes, watching and listening. Always good to have you. So I will be meeting up with Melbourne Train Guy this afternoon to record an episode for the podcast. So another young up-and-coming creator who will be interesting to chat to, no doubt. Alrighty, have fun, folks. Enjoy yourselves, and we shall see you later.